And we're on. It is Tuesday. It is the second day of conference week here at Ballard Sports Media. And we got a very special guest, our good friend CDOGG. Go subscribe to him if you're not already subscribed to him on YouTube. He's a Georgia Tech fan. Does a lot of ACC talk, college football in general. But CDOGG, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ballard. Thanks for having me on, buddy. Congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. That's a huge milestone, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this. I don't think I said it yesterday, but if anyone has any questions regarding the ACC today or Georgia Tech or anything you want to ask CDOGG, put it in the comments. We'll get to your questions, your comments, and everything. And the big news that was released, I think last week or the week before, talk to me about they called it the Magnificent Seven, but I hear that 7 teams are set to leave the ACC. Is that still happening? It includes, right?
It does not include Georgia Tech. So the 7 teams were led by Florida State and Clemson, and then you have the 2 Virginia schools, and then North Carolina, Miami, and NC State. And they got together and pretty much tried to force the ACC's hand. Not happy with the amount of money they're making, off the TV deal, which is, ACC is behind and the TV deal that they've, been that they have. And of course, it's a hostage situation with the grant of rights. Nobody can leave the conference easily without having to pay, $100 million. The ACC, if they left, they would have to pay their any money they make off of any TV contracts that would go to the ACC for however long until the grant of rights is up, which is in like 2030s. So it's the ACC strategy, I guess, is to, hold its teams hostage with this crazy contract. It's pretty ironclad. A lot of the times they get together, especially 7 of them, 17 big programs like that get together. They usually are able to find their way out, but seems like they haven't been able to because, they haven't left, and the ACC has come out with this new plan to redistribute. It's like an incentive-based money kind of deal where, if you do better when the conference, get to the playoffs, win your bowl game or whatever, you get more money from the TV deal. It's an incentive-based thing. So seems to me like a Band-Aid and not a permanent solution to this, Ideally, in a perfect world, right now the ACC is working on renegotiating a contract to get the schools paid more, and hopefully trying to bring in Notre Dame and possibly to a couple other big brands. My mind would go to Oregon and Washington for the ACC to bring in. In an ideal world, that's what the ACC is doing, but of course the ACC has been mismanaged for years and years and years, and it's not the current guy, Jim Phillips. It's not his fault. It's mostly Swofford's fault. Throughout the years, ACC's just been mismanaged, and now we're getting hit by the consequences of that. So, questionable times for the ACC. People seem to think that it's going to be falling apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of hit us out of nowhere a few weeks ago. Like, I understand conference realignment's been going on the past couple of years, and we know what's coming to the Big 12 this year, and Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. And there had been some rumors about the ACC, like, oh, what if Florida State and Clemson went to the SEC? And like it had been rumored and speculated, and people make videos on it. But then all of a sudden, it's like half the conference, because don't they have like 14 teams, I think, too. So
yeah,
something along those lines.
Yeah.
So then these 7 teams decide were going to go elsewhere, not all to the same conference, but they were going to all split up and break away. And immediately when I saw that news, I just thought, okay, the ACC's in sink or swim mode right now, and they got to do what they can to keep these teams or find other teams out there, go after Group of Five. I don't know what they're going to do to try to help their case because, I mean, it's one thing if you lose like one or two teams like the Big 12, losing Texas and Oklahoma, right? So, but when you're losing half your conference in the
At that
snap of a
point,
finger,
at that point, the conference would just disband.
yeah,
So yeah, and as far as what you were saying about Group of Five, yeah, adding Group of Five teams seems to be the Big 12's approach, and in my opinion, not going to be enough to kind of rise them to the level of a power conference. They don't have anybody that's a serious playoff contender or on a national level. You know what I mean? So it's not. I have a feeling that the Big 12 is heading towards irrelevance. Word on the street is they're adding Arizona and Colorado.
I did see that.
Yeah, somebody texted that in our group chat.
I think that was me. I think
Was
I
that
sent
you?
that out. Yeah. I'm like, did y'all see this?
Yeah, so I don't know how much that has to do, but it seems to me like if you're adding teams, you want to add stuff that's going to raise the value of the conference, not freaking. I mean, and they're adding good Group of Five teams, but in my opinion, you got to add some bigger brands like Notre Dame, Oregon, and Washington, and that in that situation, that would be ideal, and that would kind of that would save the ACC in my eyes because if you can get them on board, you can come back to the table with ESPN and renegotiate a better deal to get paid more. So
yeah. I guess the next question I would ask, I mean, you got 7 teams that are, fighting for their lives, trying to go places, and the ACC's trying to figure it all out, get it all together, figure out a plan to keep everybody. If the teams leave, whether it's all 7 or not, but like of the teams that are possibly going to leave, which it's still not a guarantee, but what team out of all of those would you say if they leave, this hurts the ACC more than anything? Like, is there a team out there or
Clemson, obviously. I mean, they've been the kings of the ACC for past decades, so they're the biggest brand, biggest moneymaker, and Clemson for sure. Yeah, we don't. If losing them would really hurt, and Florida State, it'd be like the equivalent of the Big 12 losing Texas and Oklahoma. They're two biggest brands. If those two left, either Clemson or Florida State, that would be big trouble for the ACC. And I really don't hope it doesn't happen. I haven't mentioned this, but all this conference realignment stuff really sucks to me because I like seeing regionality and I like seeing more than 2 good conferences. I mean, I don't know if that's some kind of crazy revelation or hot take, but I prefer that there's 5 conferences rather than 2 good ones.
Well, I mean, I said this when I had said when the conference realignment first happened. I think the first move was Oklahoma and Texas announcing, and I said, "There's no reason for this. There's no the conferences are fine as they are. No one's been complaining about it that I know of, and
you're just chasing that dollar,
right? Exactly." And you got the ACC that makes so much money, not even in just football. I mean, look at basketball with Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's in the ACC and like every other sport, it seems like. And, now there's up and down rumors. It's, I don't know what official with Notre Dame going to the ACC. Do you have anything on that?
Well, I mean, the ACC and Notre Dame have been playing a will they, won't they game for years, right? It's like a high school romance.
Right.
The ACC really wants Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be in the ACC in some sports, and they want to come in it during the COVID year, but they want to leave, and who knows? I mean, Notre Dame I think the biggest news in that front lately is that Notre Dame and Miami just became AAU schools, which is a requirement that the Big Ten has to enter their conference. So could those schools have gone after that AAU status to possibly try to make a move to get into the Big Ten? It wouldn't surprise me. So, at this point, I haven't seen any promising news that the ACC is going to, survive this and add Notre Dame and possibly other teams. I haven't seen anything to make me feel better about it. All I've heard is bad news, and so
yeah. Yeah, I haven't really seen anything either. And it's the big thing for me about the ACC. Like when I look at the ACC as a conference, obviously it's been Clemson and the rest of us and try to so the rest of them try to fight for that, and that's it. Now you've had some teams up and coming in like Florida State this year, and I guess I don't know who else would be out there. Miami's fallen off. Georgia Tech, hey, they're up and coming, I guess. But like,
yeah, this couldn't be a more critical time for Georgia Tech. Like Georgia Tech is the spot we're in is tough. We're trying to make ourselves, like you said, finally got rid of Jeff Collins, so we're looking up. But in this time of conference realignment, we definitely need to make ourselves more desirable in the realignment market.
Yeah. We're talking with our friend CDOGG. Go subscribe to him on YouTube. He's got over 2,000 subscribers.
Not quite. I'm
not quite.
I'm at like $1.25 right now.
Okay. So. Well, go subscribe to him. I think. Hold on. I can put his channel link in the comment section, but he puts out a lot of great content, gives a lot of speculation and opinions. Whether or not you care what his opinions are is up to you, but I like them. So
Thanks,
he offers a lot of good insight, especially when it comes to the ACC. So let me put it.
I do the ACC show every week with Pigskin Pete on Tuesday nights. Although I don't think there's anybody that's in here that doesn't know that. Seems like I have a feeling that our subscribers have a lot of overlap.
So, are you guys having the show tonight? And if so, can you tell the people what we can expect?
Yeah, so it's going to be here at 7. I'm going to, right after we finish this, I'm going to have to go right to the ACC show. But what to expect? Well, we're not professionals like you, Ballard. We pretty much jump on there and we talk about whatever tickles our fancy. I guess Pete's going to want to talk about this golf news because he made a video about it. But other than that, we'll probably talk about realignment and you know what, we're going to be starting schedule previews soon because I think we're going to do 2 a week, 2 a week schedule predictions for all the ACC teams. So. We're as a panel, we're going to pretty much go through their whole schedule, pick yes or no, whether they lose a game, majority wins. And so it's a great system. That's how you end up with us predicting Florida State to go 9-3 last year, which they actually did. We were all laughing. We were all laughing at how ridiculous it was that we had picked them to go 9-3, and then it wound up coming true. So, This is the time of year where it's like you can say some crazy stuff and it might come true. I mean, that's what's so great about the sport. So don't be afraid. If you have a crazy idea, don't be afraid to freaking say it because it might come true.
Alabama's going 15-0. How about that?
Who would have thought TCU would make the national championship. You'd have got laughed out of off of YouTube if you had said that last year in the offseason.
Yeah. Yes, go support his channel. Always hit the thumbs up for CDOGG. Thank you, Twisted Rooster.
Appreciate
and
it.
he asked, can I come on the ACC show and predict ACC team schedule?
So you can come on the ACC show, although usually we limit it to ACC fans of ACC teams. Usually we have a full panel of ACC guys, and we give those guys the priority. Although if you are a fan of another team that's not in the ACC, then we let you come on and hang out for a little bit before we bring on the full panel. So, yeah, if you want to come on and give your opinion on who you think on how bad Clemson's going to suck or something, you're more than welcome to, yeah. It's just that we'll probably just have you on for a minute, and then we'll have you get off, and we'll bring on the full panel for the show.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw this news too. I hope I didn't already bring this up. This was actually put out a couple weeks ago, but I found it and it kind of interested me. This is from College Football HQ on Fan Nation. ACC reveals new plan that could put down college football realignment rumors. And of course, I know we kind of already talked about that.
Dang, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's thunder and lightning outside. Sorry.
I kind of heard it a little bit.
Yeah, that was loud. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're good. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the ACC is actually fed up with all their rumors of realignment and, they're not too happy about it. So, like, how is the ACC responding to all of that in terms of, like, this is what's really going to happen or you don't know? Like, basically, it's like Nick Saban talks to the media about rat poison. It's like they're trying to get rid of the rat poison in the room.
Mm-hmm. The ACC, I mean, they're pretty tight-lipped about the whole thing. They recently had these like meetings and on some islands off the East Coast. They went out to some islands and had some secret meetings that, nobody knew about, I guess, or they didn't disclose what went down there. But like I said, the only news we've got is that they're having this new revenue distribution, revenue sharing thing where it's like incentive based. So that's the only thing that they've done to kind of combat the realignment rumors on the outside, on the surface. So that's the only thing the public knows about. As far as anything that's possibly going on the, behind the scenes, I'm not sure.
I got you. Third question I got for you really is, or I guess this is like question 4, but the ACC is for the longest time, ever since Clemson's dominance, they've been portrayed as the weakest Power 5 conference. So I guess the question is like, what's your thoughts on that? And what would you have to say to those that say that it is a weak conference? Because the way I see it, I think teams think about the Florida State hype this year. Think about Georgia Tech's improvement. Think about North Carolina, NC State. These are teams that are up and coming in the ACC. Clemson still might be at the top, but I think it's more than just the Tigers right now in that conference.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I think that the ACC as a whole, and especially last year, and hopefully this year, has been doing their part and having better teams overall. You still have teams bringing up the rear, like the Virginias. Those two schools are inexplicably bad right now. But Miami has, as much as we like to joke about them, they've hired Mario Cristobal, which was a great hire, above their means, in my opinion, and they've been investing a lot more into football. So I do think overall that was a great hire, even though I like to make fun of them a lot. I think that in the long run they're going to be a lot better for that hire. FSU obviously is the darlings of this offseason. Clemson is what they are. In fact, they kind of fell off these past 2 years. They haven't been as good as as we're used to. But I think that Dabo has really shown growth and some self-reflection with the Garrett Riley hire, instead of sticking with his, hire that he had promoted from within with his, friend or whatever, a guy that wasn't qualified for that position. I think that he made really good strides and, hiring Garrett Riley. I mean, that was crazy. I never thought that. I never expected that. That'll probably put them right back into the contender, national championship contender realm, in my opinion, because they didn't fall off that much. They fell off to about a 10-win team. They don't have much higher to go to get back into that national championship contention status. And then, like you said, NC State, Pittsburgh, those teams are kind of, usually middle of the pack, but they have stepped it up just a tick. Maybe get a little bit overhyped in the offseason, especially NC State. But and then like you said, North Carolina, they have improved too. They're still wildly inconsistent, but as far as wins go, they improved last year. They got Drake May. He's exciting. So the ACC I do think is pulling itself together. It seems to be trending in the right direction, and as far as that goes, as far as being the weakest conference, well, Pac-12 is by far the worst conference right now. As far as the state of the conference, as far as the strength of the teams, and as far as obviously they're losing Southern Cal and UCLA, and then the Big 12 is losing Texas and Oklahoma. I think the ACC is in better shape than both of them, and because we haven't lost any teams, and our teams might not be as good as they could be, but I do feel like we're trending in the right direction. Hopefully we get it together and we don't disband, and don't become victims of realignment. So, the ACC is in an okay spot right now. Could be better though, but it could be a lot worse. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, we got a question in the chat from Rec Talk. He wants to know, why is UNC the way that they are?
Well, UNC is the way that they are probably because they got a 100-year-old geriatric coach. He's senile and he's got one foot in the grave and doesn't know what he's doing. Freaking Matt Brown, he sucks and needs to retire, and he's pretty terrible. And gets all this freaking talent, gets his fans all excited, gets Luke coming on the ACC show talking all this crap, going crazy thinking they're going to do something. Well, winds up breaking their hearts and unbelievable fashion. You win all these games 1, 2, 3, 4-0. You come into the Tech game, 9-1, got one loss or whatever it is, and freaking lose out freaking 5 games in a row to end the season. Got the best all-world quarterback, 5-star Drake May, freaking sucks and can't pull that team out of the dumpster that it's in. Why are they the way they are? It's a lot of reasons. But I think that probably about sums it up. They're going to get pulverized by Tech.
Yeah. Speaking of Tech, what do you say? What do you say we go ahead and do a schedule preview? Because I haven't done Georgia Tech yet, and I'm sure you obviously have some thoughts on your own team. And I think y'all could have a pretty good year this year, but again, talking with CDOGG here, Georgia Tech fan, let's talk Georgia Tech, man. What are you expecting this year? What's, the big goal for this team? And ultimately, what does Oh, I can't think. Brent Key, the new head coach.
Yeah.
What does he want to bring to this program?
So I couldn't be more excited about this past year. Brent Key, nobody really expected when he took over as interim. I mean, I really liked Brent Key because I had already known him because he was actually the offensive line coach under Alabama, under Nick Saban at Alabama when you guys won the national championship in 2017 against Georgia. And so he was your offensive line coach that year, and he came to Tech because he didn't get fired. He didn't get a raise or promotion or anything. He came to Tech because he played at Tech and loves it here, and so I really liked him for that. And when he took over, he put new life into the team and kind of really showed that, the roster that we have is not bad. It's just that it was mismanaged and it's just unbelievable the way that Jeff Collins was running things. Like we come to find out the details of what Jeff Collins was doing. He just wasn't running practice right. He had the team he had like 3 different practices. Like the team didn't practice together. Like they had it all split up onto different fields, and he was practicing without pads a lot. It made us really soft. So Brent Key, he throws all that away. He says we're changing everything about the way we do, and he's hammering home what does he want to bring to the team as toughness. And I think that is like something that he has hammered home. Not just him, but the players have started to say it, and all the assistant coaches too. It's like all we've been hearing is toughness, 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 which is cool. That's how we were under Paul Johnson. Don't get me wrong, I don't miss running the triple option at all, but I do miss having disciplined, tough football teams. Is what we were, and to get back to that is going to be really nice. I believe him. The team played tougher under him. He already showed. If Jeff Collins would have stayed the coach for the entirety of last season, we would have won maybe one more game. Maybe we would have won 1 or 2 games that year. But he took over. He had us this close to getting to a bowl game, and he through all that we had 2 quarterbacks go down. We had Jeff Sims go down with a broke foot, and then we had our backup go down too. So we're on our 3rd string. He still manages to go on the road and beat North Carolina. It's just crazy the way he's able to adapt and rally the team, and they believe in him and they play hard for him. And I get really excited thinking about what he could do with all the crazy, terrible stuff that went wrong last season, all the, stuff he couldn't fix mid-season. Now that he has a full off season to prepare and get all that going, I'm excited about the potential of what he can do. We brought in some really exciting transfers, namely in our wide receiver room. For some reason, they decided to just absolutely go insane in the wide receiver room. We got Christian Leary from Alabama.
Yeah, I was fixing to ask about the transfers, and I saw he transferred there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he the most exciting transfer that you picked up, or
The
is there someone else
most
out there?
The most exciting? I don't know about the most. I'm very excited for him. But we also got Dominic Blaylock from Georgia.
Okay.
So among like a bunch of other guys. Well, I mean, also another transfer. He's been here a while, so it's slipped my mind. But Haynes King from Texas A&M, we got at quarterback. So we have a quarterback battle going into the season between Haynes King and Zach Pyron, and a lot of this stuff has flown under the radar of people who haven't paid attention to Georgia Tech, which I get it. We won 5 games last year. It's like whatever. I'm telling you, the difference that happened when Key took over was night and day. And this team is capable of a lot coming into this year. There's still going to be some things like we still got to improve the lines of scrimmage. But those guys, we got to get depth at spots. Our tight end position is non-existent. We didn't even have it under the triple option, and we really have to build that position up. There's still a lot of things that need to improvement, but this team, it's really exciting to think what they could do. Our defense, last year our defense was really, really good last year. We do lose a few pieces off of that defense, but I think with the way that I think the offense and special teams are going to step up, we won't have to rely on our defense as much as we did last year, because every game we won last year was thanks to our defense. But I'm rambling a little bit because I get so excited. I wasn't even excited this time last year going into the season. I didn't even care. I knew we were going to be terrible. I thought that we were going to have Jeff Collins for another year, and we were going to have to fire him, and then look for another coach, and he was going to have to rebuild. But no, Brent Key was sitting there waiting, and he turned it around immediately, and we can win immediately. And that's something that the Brent Key hire is exciting, is the continuity, because we didn't have a lot of players transfer out. We had a couple go to the NFL, but we didn't have a lot transfer out. So, we kept a lot of those. So it's not a full rebuild. We can build off of what we did last year, which is why it's not a huge stretch to think that Georgia Tech is going to make a bowl. I mean, we came this close to making a bowl last year, and when you consider all the things that went wrong last year, 2 hurt quarterbacks, the fiascos that was special teams, you get all that shored up, we'll easily make a bowl. Our goal is not a bowl this year. Their goal is 8 wins. They stated it, 8 wins at a minimum. They said that's what our starting quarterback said, Zach Pyron. Which, can we get to 8 wins? That might be a lofty goal. Our schedule is a little bit stiff, not as bad as it was years prior, but
I think and I'll go ahead and we can pull up and look at this year's schedule too. But before we get into it, 2022, you lost to Clemson the first week. I think that's understandable. I just think is that one of those games, because it was 41-10. You just kind of hope that you guys competed a little bit more. Right?
Well, the thing about that game, the score, that most of those points were scored in the second half of the fourth quarter on Clemson's, because we kind of fell apart. But that game was on a Monday night, and the whole world was watching, and it was a close game for 3.5 quarters. It really was. It got away from us, but if we weren't being coached by Jeff Collins at the time, if we had never fired Paul Johnson, he would have beat Clemson last year and the year before, because Clemson just didn't play well in the Georgia Tech game these past 2 years, and they got away with it because Jeff Collins wasn't able to capitalize on that. So that's kind of the story behind the Clemson game. Although, it did get away from us.
Yeah. Next week you beat Western Carolina. That's understandable. They're a 1 or 2 win team every single year when they play.
Not an impressive win either. It was not like we struggled for a little bit there. Like we struggled even in that game. So I was not happy with, usually you just come in and blow out an FCS team. It wasn't even like that. It was like, really, we're having trouble against FCFC, and come on.
Yeah. You had some really cool non-conference opponents, though. I mean, you played Ole Miss, which I think you play them again this year. Is that a home and home?
It is.
Okay.
Ole Miss last year absolutely destroyed us, 42-0. That was ridiculous. That was when everybody wanted Jeff Collins fired. That game.
Yeah. And things are bad. I try not to rip on them too much, because I like Ole Miss. I like the direction Lane Kiffin's going. But let's be honest, they have no defense. There's no reason that you should at least get shut out. It's one thing to lose. It was 42-0, as you said. And that being said, I mean, you lose to teams like UCF. Gus Malzahn, I think, is going to be a good coach in the Big 12. But You turn around though. What's crazy is the roller coaster ride. Is
Mhm.
that you were able to turn around and beat teams like Pittsburgh and Duke and
That's when
Villanova.
yes, so that's what
Yeah.
I was saying. That's when Brent we fired Jeff Collins after the UCF game.
Okay.
And you know, the UCF game, we were clearly better than them. Like we clearly had more talent, we had better players, and we played, and we just shot ourselves in the foot. We just shot ourselves in the foot, and it was Jeff Collins' mistakes. His teams were just so sloppy and undisciplined. It was like watching a high school game. I'm not kidding. Like watching them play under Jeff Collins was like watching a high school game. They were not well coached, and it was ridiculous. And we were the better team, but we lost because of Jeff Collins. And if Brent Key was coaching that game, we would have won. But thankfully we fired him. Turn around and beat Pittsburgh. That was on the road, a ranked Pittsburgh team, and we had half a week of practice. They fired him on like Tuesday, so we had Brent Key had like 3 days to practice and still beat them. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. So you have the UCF game, you fire Collins, you bring in Brent Key. Pitt, you turn around and beat Duke. We talked about that. You get the bye week. After that, you ended up having 6 games after the bye week, like any other team would have on their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up going 2-4 in that slate.
Yep.
But what I will say is the 2 wins you picked up were actually really good wins. Virginia Tech and North Carolina.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I can explain.
Yeah,
I can explain though. What happened. See, a lot of people don't take the time to really like. You can look at that, but you don't know the story of what was going on during the season. So, yes, we come off a bye week and have Virginia on a Thursday night at home, and it was one of the most miserable football games, the most miserable football game I've ever been to and seen in my entire life. It was a horrible display of offense for both teams. Virginia was the worst team in the conference last year. But you know what happened? Jeff Sims broke his foot. He broke his foot in the Duke game in overtime. We went into overtime with them. And Duke is a solid 8-win team last year. We beat them. And Jeff Sims broke his foot and he went down, and we had to go to our backup quarterback who was terrible, absolutely terrible. We had to go to him, and that Virginia game was miserable because he went 7 straight 3-and-outs. He could not move at all. Think of the least mobile quarterback you can. Jake Fromm, he makes Jake Fromm look like the Flash. But anyway. So that's what happened. So, we wound up losing to Virginia. Unbelievable. We never should have lost them. It happens because it's the quarterback. So we go into the Florida State game. We have no quarterback. Jeff Collins had no quarterback competition going into the season. He had nothing. If it wasn't Jeff Sims, it was nobody. He had no backup plan. And so we had 4 quarterbacks on the roster, but none of them were, supposed to play. We have this kid from Akron, Zach Gibson. That's the kid that is so slow and terrible. We go into the Florida State game with him. We think, okay, maybe he has a week to prepare. Maybe he can improve instead of just being thrown into the game in the Virginia game. No, he was still terrible. He was still really bad, and we wound up taking him out and putting a true freshman in. And dude, this kid balled out, Zach Pyron. And I know I said that, so this is the Florida State game. We got blown out, obviously. Like I said, our special teams was really bad this past year. And I said our defense was good. Well, we got blown out. There's only so much the defense can do when the other team is getting the ball on the 50 and the offense goes 3-and-out every time. There's only so much the defense can do. So, but he showed promise. He had a late game touchdown there at the end, and where he broke a couple tackles and dived in the end zone. And Zach Pyron got the starting job. And then we go on the road and beat Virginia Tech the next week. But guess what happens the week after that? The Miami game. He freaking breaks his clavicle. He breaks his clavicle. So now we're down to – so we lose that game. We get blown out because now we have to go back to Zach Gibson, who is terrible. And then we go – but this is what's crazy. We go into the North Carolina game and beat them with Zach Gibson, the worst quarterback ever, on the road. A ranked North Carolina. They were 9-1 at the time. They were 9-1 at the time. And they were ranked in they were number 13 or something. Yeah. And we went in there with our third and fourth string quarterback and beat them. Unbelievable. And then we put up a fight. It was tied at halftime with Georgia.
Yeah, it was. I remember that game.
Yeah.
And you let it slip away.
Well, we let it slip away because we were never going to win that game because just of how bad our offense was. And special teams, like I said, we had a block punt. And once you have a block punt, it everything just the wheels fall off. It's such a demoralizing thing to happen. But anyway, long story short, that was the story of the season, and you can see why there was so much promise because look, we beat all of the best teams in the Coastal. If Jeff Sims didn't get hurt, we lost to the two worst teams in the ACC, Miami and Virginia last year. If we beat them, we would have been in the ACC championship. That's all it took was the quarterback getting hurt in those games. If nothing else changed, we didn't need. All we needed was to beat the two worst teams. We would have been in the ACC championship. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
we would have been in there at 7-5 or whatever, and lost badly, but we would have been in there. Then I bet people would understand what I'm saying about Brent Key. I mean, it's just that, and you say, oh well, you get hurt. Well, he's still with no depth at quarterback. He was still able to go on the road and beat ranked teams and stuff with a third and fourth string quarterback. That's impressive. Brent Key has got it going on. So
absolutely, and that kind of leads us into this year, man. I mean, what's he gonna do? Let's take a look at the schedule. So 2023, Georgia Tech, 5-7 last year, 4-4 in the ACC. Right out the gate, you get a kickoff game in your backyard in Atlanta on a Friday night with Louisville. Then you play teams like South Carolina State. You should probably beat them, but again, crazy things can happen. You got to go on the road at Ole Miss. So you played Ole Miss last. So this is a home and home.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're Forest. In Oxford this year.
Yeah. At Wake Forest, Bowling Green, at Miami. You get a bye week. Boston College, North Carolina, at Virginia, at Clemson, Syracuse, and then the Dogs, of course, at the end of the season. But
yeah, I hate that the Clemson and Georgia games are so close.
Yeah. What's your overall thoughts on this schedule? Strength of schedule, is it that tough of a road as we think, or do you think it's doable?
I think it's doable to get to 6, 7, 8 wins. That is the window that I'm thinking we're going to be in. It's going to be, it's not as tough as a schedule as we have had, because usually we play Clemson, Georgia. We play Clemson, Georgia every year. That's already tough. And then we play Notre Dame, and then, so it's tough, but we still have Ole Miss, of course, and people are kind of penciling in that's 3 automatic losses, right?
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about Ole Miss though, because they went 7-5 last year. They only beat they lost every important game and beat crappy teams. When you go, sorry. That's my ACC show schedule alarm. It's in 15 minutes, but yeah, we got time to talk about the schedule. But the Ole Miss, I think last year they went 7-5 and got blown out by Texas Tech in their bowl game, and they just were not impressive last year. I think they were a little bit fool's gold last year. So hopefully it's a similar situation. We can pull the upset, but a lot of people, in order for Georgia Tech to miss a bowl this year, we would have to lose every single toss-up game on the schedule, and I just don't see it happening. Brent Key is not – he's just not a loser. I don't know how to explain it. Like there wasn't a game like going into that North Carolina game when we're down to our third and fourth string quarterback. Like he still had a chance to win that game. You know, like despite all odds, despite
Yeah.
everything. So, I really think with the transfers he's got in, and with the the staff, he's got his staff in there, and everything. He's had time to off season to prepare and fix all of the Collins mistakes and instill his way. He's got a full off season of practice and instilling that toughness in the players. I think we'll get to 6, 7, 8 wins for sure. Mm-hmm. I think we might
Yeah, me
upset some
too.
people that nobody expects.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that and maybe I didn't get all the possible upsets. So I kind of break it into a couple categories. I don't list every game, but like the games you need to be careful about, those are going to be the trap games. I picked out Louisville and Syracuse. I think those are teams you probably should beat, but if
Mm.
Georgia Tech is not careful, they could lose those games and it can hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about Syracuse at all. I mean, Syracuse is like last year they start out 7-0 and then like lose out. Like they're such a crazy team to predict. Like everybody thinks Dino Babers going to get fired every year. He never does. I just don't. I just don't know, man. I just don't know about Syracuse, but yeah, they are definitely going to be a tough game. Thankfully, we get them at home. And yeah, Louisville. A lot of people are really hyped on Louisville. They brought in a bunch of transfers apparently, and of course they have Jeff Brom as their head coach now. It's his first year there, so a lot of people are hyping up Louisville as some kind of dark horse. So we're gonna have to see. It's gonna be a tough fight, close game. That first game against Louisville, it's gonna be tough for sure.
Yeah. And then I list possible upsets. So again, right out the gate, at the start of the season, you have Ole Miss. You could, if you play your cards right, go into that game. If you beat Louisville and then you beat SC State, South Carolina State, you could go into that game 2-0, have a little bit of momentum, and come away with a road upset. I don't think it's going to happen, but the possible upsets, I'll say Ole Miss, North Carolina, Clemson, and Georgia. These are the teams where
Dang.
you're going to be favored. I'm not calling upsets here. I break the schedule down into categories. So, like, these are the teams that you probably should lose to.
Yeah.
But if things bounce your way and the ball's in your court, could you take care of business?
So with Ole Miss, I mentioned a minute ago that I thought they were a little bit overrated last year. So yeah, that is definitely a possible upset. That would be awesome to get them back because they've been stealing a lot of our players. I guess they've been offering them NIL deals that more than what we can pay, and it's been really frustrating to keep losing players transfers to them. So yeah, that is definitely a possible upset. North Carolina, listen, I have. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to beat North Carolina. We've beat them 2 years in a row under unbelievable circumstances. In the ACC, a lot of the times you see like some teams just have other teams' numbers. We have North Carolina's number. Like we just have their number. Our defensive coordinator shuts they go around putting up 50, 60 points a game on people. Our defensive coordinator the past 2 years has them figured out, and he shuts them down every time. They can't do anything. They scored 21 points against us last year. They are just they can't beat us. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind we'll beat North Carolina. As for Clemson, I don't think we're going to beat Clemson. The Garrett Riley hire to me is going to put them back on national championship contender level, and I just don't think we're going to have the horses to run with them. And as for UGA, that's definitely an easy win. We'll probably beat them by 100. We'll probably beat them by 100.
Tech by 50.
Yeah. So
I'll go ahead and say this too, because I know you got to get to the ACC show, but I'm going to give you the at most ceiling prediction on what I think could happen. Maybe I'm wrong. Honestly, it could be 8-4, but I ended up typing up 7-5. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, it's 7 to 8 wins at most.
Yeah, I'm thinking the window is 6, 7, 8 wins. I think solidly. I'm thinking 8. I'm thinking we could get to 8. I'd probably land around 7-5 if I had to do a prediction. And with 6-6 being the floor, kind of. I just don't see us regressing because we won. People don't realize like we won 5 games last year. You know, we won 3 games under Jeff Collins for years, but it's not like it's that huge of a step for us to get to 6 wins, and we were this close to it last year. So, you know, I really do think we can make a bowl. I do think we can get to 6, 7, 8 wins, and you know, it's not, yeah, and good for you, Ballard, because you know, not a lot of people will let me sit down and listen to my spiel about how we were this close to getting to a bowl last year, and how, you know, if only our quarterbacks that got hurt, but you know, not a lot of people take the time to kind of listen to me about how last season was a little bit of a hidden success, and how good we have the potential to be this year. So good for you for letting me do that. Not a lot of people care. They just say, "Oh, it's Tech. They're gonna suck again." Listen, we're not Vandy, okay? We're not. We don't miss bowls. We just don't. We make bowls. Like, making a bowl is not that hard. It's not hard for Georgia Tech to do. Jeff Collins was the worst coach in Georgia Tech history. I'm not being dramatic. Like, you can like compare him to past coaches. He is the worst coach in Georgia Tech history. He is the outlier. He is not the rule. Okay, so Brent Key's going to have us back in the bowl contention, no problem, and it's going to be up from here on out with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so like I said, we got CDOGG on here fixing in the show. 7-5 at most for me. You said 6-6 to 8-4. Here's the losses though that I got for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you lose on the road at Ole Miss to start the season. I'm gonna say Miami gets you on the road too. I'm also gonna say UNC, Clemson, and Georgia. Does that sound pretty reasonable?
Yeah, I would say so. Like I said, I don't think we're going to lose to North Carolina. I'd probably switch them with Wake Forest. But other than that, yeah, that looks about right. Miami, you know, we do have the potential to be. They're going to be more talented than us, that's for sure. But you see this with Mario Cristobal. Remember the year before he went to Miami? He was at Oregon, and he got beat by Utah twice in a row. Well, not in a row, but, you know, twice in the same year, and it was the same result both times. Why? Because even though Oregon had all these 4- and 5-star crazy talent like Miami does, Utah was better coached, solid fundamentals, and they were tougher. And if we could beat Miami if we do that. I just don't know if we're going to be there yet. I don't know if, you know, if Miami plays tough and plays to their potential, they'll beat us every time. But they don't do that a lot, and I don't know if they're going to do that this year. So that game is tough, but it is a possible win. But yeah, seems pretty reasonable list there.
Absolutely. CDOGG, I know you got a show to do with Pigskin Pete. I'm going to let you run, man. Thanks so much for coming on. I love you, bro, and we got to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ballard. Anytime. You're my buddy. You know that. Ballard, you're actually the first person to ever come on my channel. On my live show, you were the first person to ever join the StreamYard and talk to me. I was my camera got unplugged. Sorry. Yeah, you were the first person to ever come talk to me on StreamYard. So, of course, I remember my buddy Ballard, and I'll anytime you want to do a little collab, I'm down for it.
All right, man. Go have fun with Pete.
All right, man. I'll see you around.
See you, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
ACC show in the books, everybody. Georgia Tech preview in the books. We'll clip it and upload it later. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know we kept it under an hour, which was kind of the goal. go subscribe to Pigskin Pete's channel. He's fixing to do the ACC show with CDOGG, who you also need to go subscribe to. I think I put a link in the video description. So, but we'll clip the Georgia Tech preview. We'll get it uploaded like we did South Carolina yesterday. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's keep growing. We're on the road to 2K now. And let's also get monetized. Let's get the watch hours up and everything. And tomorrow on the show, who do we have? I'd have to go get my phone. I think, let me double check. The Big Ten, I believe. And we got John. Let me see. What's this guy's name? I haven't met him. So, Joey, I want to thank Joey Foster for giving us some guests this week and, just really helping us out. So, I need to update the title. I'll do that tonight because I like to put the guest in the title. But yeah, we got John Diadamo, if I'm saying it correctly, coming on the show tomorrow to talk some Big Ten football. I'll come straight home from church and we'll get the show rolling right away as soon as we possibly can. I love you guys. Y'all have a great week. Have a great day. Jesus loves you. Trust and believe that. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. And until next time, Ballard Sports Media checking out. I love y'all. Peace out.